Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by Fully Funded Life. My name is Joe Sangle. We are fired up to help you live your fully funded life. That's why we come to you each and every Monday with a podcast with right now relevant information to help you take your next steps financially and live your fully funded life. What is a fully funded life, you might ask? Well, we define it as being able to do exactly what you've been put on earth to do, regardless of the cost or the income potential. You know, sometimes what you're called to do costs a lot. That's okay. There's a lot of money in this world. And you know what? Sometimes the income potential might be very little, but you know what? You can still prosper even on little income. We're going to show you how. And today we are in episode number
232.
230, what? 3?
233.
233. You were off by one. That is amazing.
Maybe we should do that again.
No. Yeah, we can do it again. No, I think it's great. We've lost Megan. And so you should watch this on YouTube. You'll see what's happening. Hey, listen, it's not all perfect. Megan's normally perfect. She thought she was wrong once, but she was mistaken. Get it? But here's what I would just say. It is what day? December 19th.
Apparently, I am just in the last episode because in my head, I'm like, December 12th. That was the last episode.
That's right.
It is episode 233, and it is December 19th.
That's awesome. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. And we are recording this a little early because it is headed into the Christmas season. And one of the things we value here at I Was Broke, Now I'm Fully Funded Life is time with family. What did I say?
We are all over the place today.
Yeah, one of the things that we value is time off with family.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I demand when we hire people, no one has really been angry about this, is that between Christmas and New Year's, we are not allowed to work. And everybody is mandatory required to not work. And no one has complained about that for some reason.
It's a very nice
But
way.
I did it for very selfish reasons. I didn't want anybody calling me while I was off work. No, actually, because I just know how valuable this season is for people to reset, regather. Our team hammers it through the year. And we're gonna have this episode. Hey, next week, just as a preview, we're gonna replay our top episode of the year. So if you missed it, you're going to get a chance to hear it. If you heard it before, it'll be a really good reminder for you again as you're driving around on 26, wondering what just happened on Christmas Day and taking some stuff back and maybe getting some stuff that didn't fit right and whatever. And you can listen to the little podcast. But this week, we're going to talk about part 2.
Yep. So we're doing part 2 of our You Asked For It series. And it is How Do I End My Year Well?
Yeah.
Part 2.
So part 1 focused on what?
Yep. So part 1 we talked about, well, we're looking at this through the whole framework of give, save, invest, plan the rest. So
Say it again.
give, save, invest, plan the rest.
Mufasa, say it again. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Lion King?
Mm-hmm. So last week we talked about give and save. And this week we're going to talk about invest and plan the rest.
That's right. And that's really important because we're talking about this 4-part, 6-word plan that can help you have financial success. Give, save, invest, plan the rest. It rhymes if you say it right. And if you think about it, you can't really argue it. That's really 4 things that you can do with money. You can give it, you can save it, you can invest it, you can plan the rest. We can talk about spend the rest, but we don't necessarily spend it all immediately. So that's why we use the word plan. Mm-hmm. And before we go, though, you know, the podcast, it is powered by your success. And so we need some success around here. We need to fuel up. Vroom, vroom. Do you have a success story for us?
Boy, do I.
Let's go.
All right. Our success story today comes from Diane. And she says, at 51 years old, 11 years ago, my hubby and I were at the IHHE moment. That is the I have had enough moment. In our IHHE moment ended with a bankruptcy filing. Although we were making good money, we were totally in credit card debt and had no savings. Not knowing how to pay our bills, embarrassed, ashamed, and feeling like financial failures, we thought we had no choice but to file. Thankfully, 2 months later, I went to an FLE and our life was changed forever. If I only had attended this course before I filed. I continued to carry terrible financial guilt, but made some progress after listening to the podcast, Healing Money Wounds. It helped. We listened to the podcast every Monday morning together. I left the FLE, that's our financial learning experience, and enthusiastically told my husband about it and decided to make the change together. We were fired up. We bought Joe's books, hung the ladder up on the wall, began using cash envelopes, set up our first budget, set up online accounts with many sub-accounts, made everything automatic, used coupons, and did not use a credit card for 6 years. 11 years later, we are now working on rung 7. That's rung 7 of the I Was Broke Now Not ladder, the fully funded life ladder. We have one credit card and pay it off monthly, and our credit score is in excellent range. 0 debt except our house, and that will be paid off in 22 months. Having that savings account exploding with margin is the best feeling ever. We are mostly blessed that we can now give. To think back at the despair that we were experiencing 11 years ago is now indescribable. I am a member of Fully Funded Life, and it keeps us moving forward. So much great information. 11 years ago, we were 51 years old and really thought we would never be able to retire. I am thrilled to say that we plan to retire in 4 years and live a fully funded life. Blessed, Diane. Can Diane come on the podcast?
What did I write down right here? Podcast episode. Diane, you need to be on this podcast. I want to say I want to ask you to be a part of the podcast, but I actually want to demand that you be a part of the podcast. I think people need to hear your story. You know, you think about it, at 51 years old, 11 years ago, that means they're 62 now. I mean, a season when many people think it's too late.
Yeah.
They're starting over, bankrupt, and they start over, and they make this level of progress. I mean, I think the word inspired is probably too small of a word. I think the word that I hear just coming out of the way she's phrasing things is gratefulness, exceeding gratefulness. And, you know, she's given a lot of very kind words to us. And the reality is she truly experienced an I have had enough moment. And we can't cause those to happen. I truly believe God causes those to happen. I cannot cause an I have had enough moment to happen. But I do know the power of them. And I know the power of that, what we teach. What we're teaching works. It just works. And what we hope to do in our events and in our resources is to provide catalytic moments for people to confront where they are, wherever it is, to acknowledge good and bad, and to identify the next steps they can take immediately, and to give them a roadmap. That's why we have the ladder, to be able to live a fully funded life. And Diane just encapsulated all that in 4 paragraphs. And it needs to be at least 25 minutes in a podcast. Diane, please, we're going to reach out to you. Can you please join the podcast? We want to hear from you in 2023. If you're watching on YouTube, hey, leave a comment below. If you're watching on Facebook, leave a comment below and implore Diane to show up on the podcast. We want to hear from you, Diane. That fires me up. The podcast, it's fully fueled. Vroom, 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 vroom. It's all gas today. It's gas. There's no EV here. We are so fueled up. We can go 1,000 miles. It might be O2. It might be liquid oxygen. It might be LOX load like SpaceX. We going to the moon. Maybe Mars. Fired up. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. All right, so we are talking about how to...
Max Q. That's a period of maximum dynamic pressure that a vehicle enters about 70 seconds after takeoff to space.
Oh.
Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay. You do you. All right. So we're talking about how to end your year well. End your year, not your ear, your year. It's
end your ear well?
End your ear well.
That's with an earring.
End your year well. Part 2. So part 1, we talked about how to give and save. And part 2, we're talking about invest and plan the rest. So we'll focus on the first one, which is investing.
Yes. And I love this. I like playing on the word well, W-E-L-L. You know, there's a lot of songs with the word well. I'm going to go on. This is a rabbit trail. I promise you it leads somewhere. Okay. So do you know the song, It Is Well?
I do.
And then people say, with my soul, it is well. It is well with my soul. I'm waiting. I'm standing. Operators are standing by for invitations to sing at your church or place of business. Anyhow, but you hear that word well, right? when you're listeners, I want you to think about this. What does it mean for you to be well? I think of the word well when Jesus said, do you want to be well? Do you want to get well?
Yeah.
What a great question. Yeah. Because I think it's a question that matters a lot. What is well? If we're talking about ending the year well, what does that mean? Well, we're going to define it for you, what we are intending it to mean here. Well means to finish having achieved the goal you set at the start of the year. Well means that your finances are progressing and not regressing. Well means that you have peace as it relates to your finances, that while you're not at your goal, that's why goals are goals. They're not achieved yet. That's why dreams are called dreams. They're not called achievements because they're in the future. There's always going to be those things, but you have this settled confidence, financial confidence, that the decisions that are in place today will have you on the trail, the track that will get you to where you need to be. So, well, what does that mean to finish well? And one of the greatest powering apparatuses to get to those is investing. So we talk about give, save, invest. Did you see how the rabbit trail came around? It came around. Did you see it? Are you proud of me?
You're doing great.
And so investing, I almost preached there for a minute.
No, you did.
But this investing thing is really important because it is available to all of us. Every single person listening to this podcast can invest. And so we're going to talk about how do you end the year well investing. So, you know, Megan, let's talk about different ways that we can invest. So at I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, we have investment option available, right? To you as a team member, to me as a team member. And it's not a 401k. We have one that's for small businesses. What's it called?
Simple IRA.
A simple IRA. And we match dollar for dollar up to 3% of pay. That's actually required by the law for a simple IRA. And so you contribute to get the match. Have you contributed enough to get the full match this year?
Yes.
Yes. Way to go. Isn't that awesome? So you can check mark it. So let's ask the question of our listeners. Have you contributed enough to get the full company match this year? If not, hey, what can you do to end the year well? I know you may not get another paycheck this year. Maybe you have one more coming. Can you make an adjustment? And if you can't make adjustments to get it this year, you can make adjustments for next year. So when we think about investing, we put them in, three buckets really. So there's the investing for retirement. That's the one we all know. 401k, 403b, 457, TSP, SEP IRA, all the variants of the Roth 401k, Roth 403b, Roth 457, all those. I mean, we're very confusing. My friends in Canada, they just got it figured out. They have the RSP, it's a retirement savings plan, and they have the TFSA, the tax-free savings account. That's there too.
Why can't we do
I don't know, because we're confusing. and so here's what I would just say. You can invest for retirement, and as you're ending the year well, is there any catch-ups you need to do? You can contribute for retirement all the way to April 15th next year, our tax payday, for the tax year of 2022. So you have more than just, 12 days left this year. You have 12 days plus 3.5 months next year to contribute for this year. But I say, why not have the conversation now and make adjustments right now so that you can do those? If you're over the age of 50, you can contribute an extra amount to your 401k, over $6,000, I believe, extra. And you can contribute an extra $1,000 to a regular IRA or Roth IRA as what's called a so-called catch-up contribution as you're preparing for retirement. So can you do that? So that's category one, retirement. The second one is college, college savings. Now, for college savings, 529, I encourage you, if you live in a state that has state income taxes, it's still amazing to me that many states don't have state income taxes.
Yeah.
Right? I've never lived in a state that does not have state income taxes. So for people who live in the Northeast, New England, they're like, what? But did you know Texas? Did you know Florida, Montana, Wyoming, Tennessee? They have no income taxes, no state income taxes. Wow. Kind of crazy. However, They get it another way. They get it through property taxes. Property taxes are usually boosted in those areas. And then again, the New England folks are saying, well, I have state income taxes and I have local taxes and I still have high property taxes. So, hey, I'm sorry about that.
Come on down south.
Yeah, come on down south like many of your friends have apparently. But here's what I would just say. The investing side of things, think about your kids' college funds. Are they on track with where you want them to be? Did you set a goal for 2022? This is another time to nudge grandma and grandpa to say, hey, you're going to buy them some stuff. I hate to tell you, they like the box better than the stuff. We have a college fund. Would you like to give half of that money to the college fund? And grandparents can contribute to grandkids' college funds. And you know what I find about grandparents? A lot of them love to do that.
Yeah.
So, does Logan have a college fund set up?
He does.
He does. A 529. Mm-hmm. Do grandma and grandpa love him?
They do.
They do? This is astounding. Logan has grandparents who love him. It really is just astounding. Does Grayson and Caleb, do they have grandparents who love them?
They do.
Do they have lots of people who just love on them?
Mm-hmm.
So 529 college savings plans can be things parents can contribute to, but also aunts, uncles, grandparents can do it. In fact, grandparents can set up a 529 for their grandkid. And the beautiful thing with a 529 is whoever sets it up owns the account. They name the beneficiary of the account. And so they can name their grandchild as the beneficiary of that account. And it's a wonderful gift for that grandparent as they see their grandchild grow up to be able to come to them and say, hey, grandma and grandpa got you, a little bit of that. It's really nice. And a lot of times grandparents, sometimes, grandma and grandpa, they like to do the fun side of things. I don't know if you've noticed this. Have you
noticed this.
Yes. And so what I like about it is a lot of times they'll let the parents take care of the boring things like tuition and room and board. And then grandma and grandpa will write a check for $400 a month out of their account. Hey, honey, you just spend this however you see fit. Your grandma and grandpa love you. And who's the kid's favorite? Grandma and grandpa. It's really awesome. So think about that from investing. And the other one is investing for dreams that are longer than 5 years. We have the 5-year rule here, but they're before retirement, pre-retirement. A lot of times this is done in real estate. It's done in a brokerage account where it doesn't really have particular tax advantages, but it does give you access to potential growth so that you can meet those goals. So let's talk about the investing side of things. When you're thinking about it from your household, personalized, when you think about all the people we serve, what are some thoughts you have related to that?
Yeah, I think this is a great time of the year when you can ideally take a moment to reflect on the year. We had a whole episode talking about that. So reflecting on the year and looking ahead. And so when it comes to investing, I know a lot of times it can be overwhelming and a lot of people don't know where to start, but we have tons and tons of resources to help people get started with investing. We even had a buy your first stock challenge with our Fully Funded Life community. And so we have a lot of different avenues where we can help people get involved in investing. But I think, as you're looking at these, it's easy to fall into, multiple of the categories, but I feel like you can definitely see yourself in at least one of the categories. So you're definitely, maybe you're in a season of life where you're really trying to invest for retirement. You're really trying to, hit that goal, which we should all be doing now because retirement is coming. Hopefully. And whether retirement's coming, you need money for the future, but then if you have, I have young kids. And so I am working towards saving for their college. I'm working towards putting money in their accounts for that. But then also I have dreams that are longer than 5 years, but I hope happen before retirement. And so, working towards investing for those. And so I feel like it's a great opportunity to be able to dream for the future. Are there things that you want to do in retirement? Well, they're going to cost money. Are there things that you want to do before retirement? Well, they're going to cost money. Sending your kids to college isn't getting any cheaper, unfortunately. And so, things like that, it should be exciting in a way that we can, get excited for the future by investing so that their money can grow faster.
Yeah. And I always think it's important to say that when we're talking about give, save, invest, plan the rest, they're all tied together.
Yeah.
So investing helps you save more in the future, helps you give more in the future. Mm-hmm. It helps you have more to plan. So let's talk about the final part of the plan, of the 4-part plan, but the 3 words of the 6-part plan, plan the rest. And this is really being intentional with the remainder. After you've given, after you've saved, after you've invested, what are you doing with the rest? And how do you end the year well in that area? So when you're thinking about planning the rest, how do you end the year well? When you're thinking about your budget, how do you end the year well on that management of the rest? Are there tweaks that you need to make to be able to enable you to manage your money better? Yes, in the final 12 days of this year, but sets you up to manage it better next year. Let's talk about that. Has your way of spending money on Amazon gotten out of control? Okay, I heard the resounding chorus of yes. Okay, the tsunami of yeses. Okay, so how can you make adjustments so that the way you use it, we're not saying don't use it, but the way it is utilized doesn't sneak in and start robbing from other areas of your budget next year like it did this year? One of the things that you can do is get a prepaid Visa card, load the amount that you're allowed to spend on Amazon on it, and let that be the only card linked to your Amazon account.
Yeah.
And when that money's gone, wish list, baby.
Yeah.
It's just going on the wish list. It can't go. Because I'm just telling you, if you're not careful, you'll blink, a month went by, and you're like, wait a minute, this happened, this happened, this happened. And you're using cash envelopes maybe. I mean, I've seen this happen in our household. We have cash envelopes for anything you buy at Walmart. Well, anything you buy at Walmart now becomes anything you buy at Walmart and at Aldi, because they have that middle row, and which is non-food items, but it's cool and perfect seasonal stuff.
Gets you every time.
And then we also have Amazon. And so that's things that we're putting in place to say, hey, we need to make sure we do not overspend on this. That's something that we're working to modify so that it doesn't sneak in and rob. Because if you spend more than you plan, then when you're planning the rest ends up consuming whatever a portion of either your give, your save, or your invest.
Yeah.
None of those are acceptable to me.
Yeah. And I think as we're entering into these last few days of the year, it has the potential to completely derail your entire year. You know, like maybe you've done really well this year and you've met all your goals, and then you get to Christmas shopping and, oh, well, this person, just need to buy this for this person. I need to buy this for this person. Oh, it's only $5 more. Okay, well, it's only $5 more for every person that you're buying for. That's a lot, you know?
Yeah.
And it has, so I think it has like such a great potential to be amazing season, but then also it has a great potential to ruin all the things that you've worked so hard for. So making sure you're staying the course these last few days as you're going into the next year, make sure if you've budgeted, $20 for somebody, we're spending $20. If you budgeted, maybe you get a great deal and you spend $15, and then you have $5 extra you could spend on something.
So I think that's really good. Making sure you don't get derailed here is really important. I think the other way you get derailed, so one way is, hey, I need to make sure I get this, then I get this, then I add this, and I know I've already bought this for this person, but this is perfect, and I'll get that too. The other way you derail is you go to people's houses and you see something they have, and you're like, I never even knew that existed.
I need that.
Now I cannot live without it. I need it too, right? I was recently at a family member's house, and they have this massaging machine, man. It's got like 6 different ends on it, and it's like for massaging your back,
I have
your
it on
legs.
my Christmas list.
I'm a runner, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I used it because I had just hiked the mountains of Montana, and I was using it on my calves, and it was like agony, but also awesome. And I was like, I didn't even know this existed. Where did you get it? Amazon. And I'm over here on Amazon, and I'm like, I want it bad, And so I didn't get it for me. It's like, so, but telling yourself no is never fun. And that's why we're talking about how do you end your year well? Be intentional. Think through this stuff. Don't let the last 12 days derail you, but use this moment of reflection to set you up for next year. Yeah. And so, any last words you'd like to share with all that?
Yeah, I think this is like a whole approach to your finances. So give, save, invest, plan the rest. So it encompasses all of it. So what are you giving? What are you saving? What are you investing? How are you planning the rest of your money? How are you, you're looking at it from 2022, but you're looking ahead to 2023. And so maybe as you plan 2023, you're like, oh, I need to look at it through that lens. And so I feel like looking at it from a whole, if you missed last week's episode, make sure to go back and listen to it, because the give and save are just as important, part of the puzzle as the invest and plan the rest part. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, our quote for today is going to be give, save, invest, plan the rest. That's the quote. Give, save, invest, plan the rest. Commit it to memory, recite it, follow it. You cannot go wrong if you're doing those 4 things. Hey, next week, we're going to replay our #1 most listened to episode of 2022. It's going to be the day after Christmas. We're going to be with our family. We hope you're with your family. But you know what? You may just be driving down the road, listen to the podcast ourselves to be reminded of, hey, all the goodness that has happened this year. We're thankful for everybody's listening to the podcast. Megan keeps track of all the stats. Isn't that fun?
It is fun, yeah.
And even your parents comment on the podcast every now and then, which is always fun, knowing that your parents are listening. That's great. I hope you have a great Christmas.
Thanks, you too.
And hey, everyone, have a Merry Christmas. If you like today's episode, you know what? Just rate the podcast, leave a review. That would be your greatest Christmas gift you could leave to us. If you're watching on YouTube, click the thumbs up, leave a comment. Where are you traveling for Christmas? We would love to know that. And then click the subscribe button. Hit that bell if you want to be notified on Monday when the next episode hits. Hey, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Have a great Christmas.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.